We see Ty Lue there. We see Isaiah Thomas having a joke or two.
Yeah, Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
Ante Zizic.
Yeah, and we see Ty Lue's getting ready to set it all up for us, getting ready to introduce the new player. Let's take a listen. That's Kobe Altman talking right now.
In our organization in the city of Cleveland, as we welcome the newest members, family, Isaiah Thomas. Just being around him the last couple days, you realize what a special human being this guy is. Obviously, you talk about him being an all-star and what he did for the Celtics, but he is just an incredible, high-character human being. And you can tell he fights for everything, and everything he's earned, he's fought for. And so I'm excited to add his toughness, his grittiness, his attitude, his work ethic to this team. And just being around him the last 3 days, I can see how him and Jay were the heart and soul of a Celtics team that finished first in the East last year. Those guys were a big part of that, and so we're just excited to welcome them and their families. IT's wife Kayla's here as well. There we go. Welcome to Cleveland, guys. So that's Isaiah. We'll talk more about what he does on the floor, but I've just been more impressed with him as a human being more than anything. Jay Crowder, that's a guy that we've liked for quite some time. And I don't know if John Nichols is here. He's our director of analytics. He's probably the most excited of all because he's like an analytics marvel, Jay Crowder. His on-court, off-court, plus-minus is at a high level, and he contributes to winning at an extremely high level. That's why we value him to that extent. But he also brings a tough, gritty attitude defensively, pick up the best player. He's going to bring that to this team, and he's a core piece to this Cavaliers team moving forward. Jay has also gotten better every year he's been in the league. He's also added to his repertoire. His three-point shooting was at a career high last year of something like 39.8%. That's going to add tremendous value to our team as he spaces the floor for us, but also picks up the other team's best player. Ante Zizic, we know pretty well through the draft process and then also scouting him this past year. He's a 20-year-old that's played at the highest level of the EuroLeague. He's also tough. He plays with motor, and we're excited about his growth as a young big for this franchise. So this is a great day for our franchise in terms of adding these players to our team. And Coach Lue will talk about how he's going to integrate them. But these guys are going to add a whole lot to this franchise. So with that said, before we do Q&A, I would like to formally introduce them with jerseys. Sorry, guys. A little tight up here.
All right, so there we are, George. He's being formally introduced. What do you...
An important thing, Isaiah Thomas's future is still in doubt. He's going to be a free agent. Clearly, we have to see how he recuperates from the hip. But I think Jay Crowder's a nice piece moving forward for them, and Zizic is a nice project for them. But yeah, I think the Cavs actually have done a nice job here as long as they're flexible with that pick. If they can get a superstar to add to this mix, then all of a sudden it can change their fortunes as far as winning a championship this year. And again, they have to get a sense, though, that LeBron will stick around.
They have to get a sense that he's going to stick around, but I think for the most part, they're preparing for life after LeBron. Yeah, they have to, right?
Yeah, Chris Haynes was on the jump with me this week, and he thinks they're going to try to trade that pick to try to add a piece now and go all in here.
It would be interesting to see how that all out, but they still have players, IT specifically.
How the hip is doing. If you can give us any kind of timetable on when you might be ready to play.
So I'll address that. Obviously, it's been sort of well documented, the hip injury the past week and a half, and To be fair to Isaiah, we're not going to address any specifics of the hip injury. We're also not going to put a timetable on his return. We're not going to rush it at all. We're very fortunate that we have some of the best doctors in the world at the Cleveland Clinic. And we're also very fortunate that we have some of the best performance team in the league that has a well-thought-out plan and an established plan in place that IT's already started. And again, we're not going to rush this thing. The goal is to bring him back at some point this year and be healthy and compete and get back to IT status. And that's our goal and our responsibility to him. But we're just not going to address the specifics of the injury and not going to comment on a timetable.
With all due respect, Isaiah, can you tell us what you're able to do right now?
What I'm able to, I'm just getting treatment each and every day, working out in the weight room, and that's the most that I'm doing right now. We have like Kobe said, we have a plan set, and we're just going to attack that plan and get me back to 100% as soon as possible. So.
Joe Varden, Cleveland.com. Appreciated your essay yesterday. It was good stuff. When did you know that you had suffered a torn labrum last year?
So again, like I don't want this to be the Isaiah Thomas hip press conference, and so I'm just gonna, with all due respect, shut down the hip questions. If we want to talk about Isaiah, let's talk about Isaiah the All-Star. Let's talk about Isaiah, the guy that averaged 29 points a game last year. Let's talk about him as a leader and what he's going to bring to this franchise in terms of his performance on the floor when we get him back. So, again, guys, we appreciate the questions, but this is not going to turn into the Isaiah Thomas hip press conference. We want to talk about what he's going to add and contribute to this team and what these guys are going to bring to the table, and how we're going to continue to try to compete for a championship with these guys' help.
David Grennan, ESPN. All due respect to you, Kobe, we'd love to talk about Isaiah as a 29-point-per-game scorer and an all-star, but when could we be talking about that? And what's the team's plan in the interim, considering, you trade away your starting point guard?
Sure. So we're very fortunate to have signed Derrick Rose. And we've also had Jose Calderon, who's been in the gym every day since I think we acquired him. So he's sort of locked in and ready to go as well. We don't, again, I'm not going to put a timetable on it. I don't think it's fair to put a timetable on it. We're not going to rush to bring him back. But that's sort of where we're gonna leave it. And I appreciate the question, but that's sort of where we are on that.
Can I follow up with that? Isaiah, nice to meet you. What interaction have you had with LeBron James since you found out about the trade 16 days ago?
He's texted me a few times. He's reached out. I know he's reached out to Jay as well. And he's just excited about what we can bring to the table and how we can help. And, I mean, to speak for myself, I'm excited to play with the best player in the world. I've been in situations before where things have been a little tough and we haven't had the best players, but we just kept fighting and worked with what we had. But, I mean, being put in this situation on the court is everything. I mean, it is to play with, the best player in the world, to play with a guy like Kevin Love and J.R. Smith and Derrick Rose and to be coached by a guy like Tyronn Lue, who's played in this league for a long time. It's like I said it in my Players Tribune piece yesterday. It's like a match made in heaven. Like it's a scary thing if everything is able to click with the guys we have coming in and the guys we have on this team. So, like I said, I'm excited and I can't wait to get going.
Sherrod Blakely, Comcast Sportsnet, New England, here on your left. Actually, a question for Isaiah and then another one for you, Jay.
You travel all the way down here, huh?
You know it. Isaiah, in the Players Tribune that you just mentioned, you talked about being hurt by how this went down. You've been traded before. How is this different for you? And my question for you, Jay, well, first of all, just condolences to you and your family, first and foremost. But for you, take us through what that day was like, where I know your emotions were all over the map. And but Isaiah, if you can answer first question, and Jay second, because I don't know if I'm going to get this mic again. That's why I'm doing it too, for one.
Well, mine was it was surprising. It definitely caught me off guard, but it also woke me up. It made me realize that this is a business, and anybody other than probably LeBron James and Kevin Durant and those type of guys can be traded. And I prayed on it. I thought about it. I slept on it, and I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm blessed to be able to be traded to a situation where realistically we can win a championship next year. Like, I couldn't ask for any better. And I'm just taking it day by day, making this transition, because that's going to be the hardest part, transition to my family and things like that. But the basketball standpoint, I mean, it's going to be easy. I've been shooting on the 10-foot hoop since I was like 7. So the balls are the same and the hoop is the same. And to be able to be in this organization and compete is what I'm excited about.
Does it hurt more, Isaiah, the fact that when you look at their core going forward, you had a direct hand in all 3 of those guys being in Boston?
We built that, but it's all good. Like I said, it's the business of it, and there's no hard feelings. I'm not upset with anybody. I was surprised, like I said, but I'm happy to be here. My kids is in school, so as long as they're not tripping, then I'm good for the most part. So, like I said, it's basketball, and we'll figure out everything else when that time comes.
And Jay, just on that day for you, and just kind of putting everything in perspective and dealing with all that you had to deal with.
Well, there's a lot going on that day, obviously. The good thing about the whole ordeal was I was able to whisper it to my mom before she passed. I was with her. I just told her we're going to Cleveland. And like 5 minutes later, she passed. But yeah, that day was tough. But it was a good day for myself, for my basketball career, to move on to an organization like this, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, and to be able to put myself in position to play for it all. I couldn't ask for nothing else. I was thankful to Boston for everything they've done for me, and for trading to a team like this. I was thankful for the opportunity, and that day was pretty wild.
Jason Lloyd, The Athletic. Kobe, I understand you don't want to talk about the hip, but I'm just curious. We're more than 3 months out, almost 4 months out since the injury. So is it that you don't have a timeline yet, or you don't want to put undue pressure on him to meet the timeline to return?
So our responsibility is to get him back to 100%. And that's our goal. And our performance team, like I said in previous questions, has mapped out a great plan, a multifaceted plan to really attack this thing, and Isaiah is deeply committed to that. And so day by day, as he gets better, I think we'll have a better grasp of it, and we'll let you guys know when those thresholds are crossed. But that's sort of all I'll comment on that for now.
But so it doesn't sound like you have a date in mind yet. It's not that you're not sharing it with us; it's that you don't have one. Is that fair?
I don't want to talk about a timeline right now. No.
Following up, are you confident that there's going to be enough time? Certainly there's going to be a learning curve involved when you put Isaiah with LeBron and those two guys learn how to play together. Is there going to be enough time in your mind for these guys to figure that out and how to play together prior to when it's really going to count for the playoffs moving forward?
Finally, a Coach Lou question.
Yeah, for sure. You know, Jason, just adding a guy like Isaiah, Jay, Big Z, you know, adding D Rose, adding Jeff Green, adding Calderon. I think we've done a great job of adding great pieces to this team. We're going to be different. But when you add an all-star, a guy who was, you know, up for MVP, you know, fifth in MVP votes, and you add LeBron James, who can play with anybody in the world, it's not going to take long for those guys to click. And it's going to be my job to make sure I put these guys together, get them on the same page. But you know, talking to Isaiah yesterday, I want him to be Isaiah. You know, don't come in to defer and, you know, looking to try to fit in. And LeBron and Kevin and those guys, they don't want that. Come in, play his game, be aggressive, you know, be the scorer that he is, that we know he can score the basketball. And we're just very excited that, you know, we get a guy that averaged 29 points a game. He gets to the free throw line, makes big shots, you know, not afraid of the moment. And it's big for us. And then you add a guy like Jay Crowder, who is a great defensive player who can guard, 4 positions. Is a 40% three-point shooter, brings a lot of toughness, an element that we need to add to this team. So with D Rose being able to step in and, play those minutes until Isaiah gets back and gets healthy, and adding a veteran like Calderon, who is a very steady player, who doesn't turn the basketball over, is a great shooter, great free throw shooter. So I think we add the right pieces to this team, and Kobe's done a great job of doing that. And our main goal and main focus is, being healthy when the playoffs start. We talk about that every season, just, taking our time, not rushing situations, taking time off when we need to take time off, and getting guys healthy and getting guys 100%, because we know once we hit the playoffs and we're healthy, we're going to be a tough team to beat.
Terry Pluto, Cleveland Plain Dealer. Isaiah, I was just thinking here, you were the last guy picked in the same draft where Kyrie went first. People talked about you being 5'9", you won't make it there. Now they're talking about the hip. As a person and competitor, what do you think about when people are throwing questions at you yet again?
It's just been my story. I'm fine with it. I can say if it was something new, like I average 29 a game and they still gonna talk. So I can be MVP one day and they're still gonna say something's wrong with my game, and that's fine. I accept that. I'm gonna keep using it as motivation, keep fighting and keep grinding and doing whatever it takes to win a championship. And that's just been my mindset since day one. So when it comes to basketball, that mindset does not change no matter where I'm at. I'm gonna continue to play like the way I know how and continue to try to play to win, and that's all I can do.
Think people have underestimated you quite a bit?
Just a little bit. I mean, that's just been my story, so I've been fine with it. It's been what I've had to fight through my whole career, and I'm gonna continue to fight till my career's over, and that's just what it is.
Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. Kobe, with the Kyrie stuff going down, did you feel pressure to get something done before training camp? Did you set an internal deadline for yourself?
Good question. I think we were in information collecting mode when the stuff first broke, and we had numerous teams call about it. Just taking a step back relative to Kyrie, I want to thank him from the organization. He made tremendous contributions to this franchise and this city. This was for 6 years, and he became a champion here. And he helped us win a championship in spectacular fashion. And so I think we owe him a thank you, and we owe him a debt of gratitude. And we'll always be thankful for his exciting years with the Cavaliers. And I wanted to make sure that Kyrie heard that from us. Relative to the trade, we're just excited about today and moving forward, about the players that are on this stand and how they're going to help us. And then what Coach Lou talked about, the acquisitions we made in the offseason, how they're going to help us. The goal remains the same, winning a championship. And we think the guys are going to help us a great deal with that.
Isaiah, you mentioned in your Players Tribune piece that you don't believe Boston is better after their trade. What do you think makes the Cavs better now than they were before the trade?
I mean, bringing in a guy like myself and Jay Crowder and Big Z, I don't think they've had that in the past, even though they've been championship caliber teams and they've been arguably the best team the last however many years. I think we add something that they didn't have, and that's toughness, grit, and just people who've been counting out their whole careers. Me and Jake come from kind of the same, cut from the same cloth, where we've been counted out, and we're just gonna keep fighting no matter what people say. And I think that's why me and him clicked so well in Boston, and we were to raise that competitiveness when they were in rebuild mode to we're not rebuilding, we're playing to win right now. And to be able to be put in a situation where from the first guy to the last guy in this whole organization, they expect championships, we couldn't ask for anything better.
This question is for Ante. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is that right? What is it about big men from the Adriatic League that have made such good pros lately? And then for people who haven't seen your game, how would you describe it to us?
You know, it's big difference between Euro style of basketball and NBA style of basketball. So let's say I need just a little bit time for accumulate on this type of the game. But my style of game, toughness, I'm a big guy who run well and good in defense, good rebounder. So set good screen for my teammates to help them to make easy shots and layups. So that's my style of game.
And then I have just a quick question for all three guys.
All right, so that was the press conference. If you're just now joining us, Isaiah Thomas now being announced as a Cav along with Jay Crowder. There was Kobe Altman there, the GM, as well as Coach Ty Lue. Here's what's interesting about that. George Sedano here with me to break down what we were able to talk about and see there. Right off the bat, as people would expect, the media asking questions about the health, Isaiah Thomas's health. Kobe Altman shut that down right away.
Well,
saying,
he tried.
Or he tried to, saying this won't be a press conference about his hip. But your thoughts on that and then the reaction in the room?
Well, first of all, shout out to Dave McMiniman, our colleague, for giving him the with all due respect line. We need to talk about this because it is a serious issue, right? Like, he's going to be a key component to the team. So shout out to Dave there. But what it says to me, Kerry, is they clearly don't know when he's coming back. Like, that's what I interpret from that conversation. Because he was asked multiple times about a timeline. He refused to answer it, Kobe Altman, their general manager, about a particular timeline. There wasn't even, hey, he'll be back next year after the All-Star break. Like, that says to me they have no clue.
Or they could be managing expectations, because if he says one thing and it doesn't happen, then we'll go back to this press conference when he was being announced. I also wanted to address this because you and I are discussing this.
But he could have at least said very simply, you know what, he'll be back when he's ready. If he had just said that, you could have shut that down instead of trying to, quote-unquote, shut it down verbally.
Yeah, Isaiah's facial expressions, and I'm not going to read into it because I don't know what that means, but you could tell he knew right away. Everyone wanted to know about his health, as you would expect. People want to know about his health. But I want to talk about the tone of that press conference versus the tone of Kyrie being introduced in Boston. Boston had this atmosphere of, we're on the cusp. This is new. This is exciting. I'm so excited you're here, as did Kyrie. But there was a bit of a somber tone here in this press conference. Not that they're not happy to be there, but how did you feel that they were being received, or no emotion, if you will?
Well, yeah, it felt like the Kyrie press conference with Gordon Hayward was celebratory, right?
Right.
Like, we've arrived. Here we are. Whereas this one, as you pointed out, felt more guarded. They feel like, first of all, they didn't want to give out any information on Kyrie's hip, on Isaiah's hip, because, again, I feel like they just don't know, which, by the way, is fair to not know at this point, because their doctors, as he pointed out, Kobe Altman, said that there still needs to be some evaluation done, more evaluation, figure out the regimen for him, things of that sort. But, yeah, I'm with you. Clearly, Isaiah maybe seems a little hurt still.
Of course.
And now he said the right things. Yeah. He said the right things about wanting to play with the greatest player and how they feel like they can, win a championship and compete for a championship, all that stuff. But, yeah, if you're a body language expert, it doesn't feel the same way as the celebratory press conference we saw in Boston.
And maybe that has something to do with the fact that they knew it would be all about his health. Isaiah saying in the press conference, the story of his entire career is that he's been an underdog, so he's used to it. Sure. As we get ready to wrap, and we're going to play out the rest of the show and head out to OTL, but your thoughts on him suggesting that he is always an underdog?
Oh, he clearly has been. He was the last pick in the draft. He was a guy who most people didn't thought could make a roster. Then, oh, he's a sixth man. Oh, he can't be a starter. Oh, he's a starter. Oh, he can never be a guy who can lead a team. And he's done all that stuff. So he clearly uses that as motivation.
Well, we will see how this all plays out. Again, Isaiah Thomas now officially. There you are, David.
I'm here still. I'm glad somebody asked Ante Zizic a question. That was a big relief. Thank goodness that happened.
Can you ask me a question, sir? Come together.